want to talk first 5G. IoT. The acronyms are aplenty here, but it all results basically in more devices, quicker access to the internet. How is it affecting your business model?
Well, it's driving a lot of the design work that we're doing, and it has done for a number of years. Although 5G, will be rolling out over the next couple of years, it's based on technology that has been in the works within ARM for a long time. Whether it's chips going into the network, chips going into the cloud, or the real tiny sensors that are going to be deployed in all of these IoT devices, it's affecting a lot of what we're doing.
And the new devices that you're seeing, I mean, you're making inroads into machine learning, into artificial intelligence. These are sort of new devices and IP that you're coming up with. But how we see the business models change in particular, are we starting to see that become a reality yet?
Well, it's still quite the early days. I mean, really what 5G and IoT is going to do is generate a lot of data. And what you do with that data is going to enable new businesses, new applications, and a lot of that is still to come. But the ability to put these sensors everywhere, to get their data into the network, to process it either locally or in the network or in the cloud, is going to open the doors for a whole new set of applications. When everybody here is talking about 5G is kind of just around the corner, and you walk around the show and you see all these great examples of what people are going to do with it. But I think the most interesting applications are yet to come. It's when this platform gets out there and when developers start to work out how to take this data, how to make your journey to work in the morning an easier thing to do without you having to reach in your pocket and find your money for your tube ticket or whatever it is.
Yeah.
These applications are going to come when developers can start accessing this platform.
I mean, you're churning out designs for 21 billion chips in the previous year. You've been taken out by SoftBank. It was a cool $37 billion. You're now private. The promise was more R&D going to be going into ARM, more money to be spent by you. Is that becoming a reality?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in the last year, we've added 25% more people into ARM. There's over 5,700 people now in the company. We're about 80% technical staff. So our engineers are looking at today's applications, trying to anticipate what's coming tomorrow, building out that roadmap of technology that will enable everything that we see here at Mobile World Congress for the next few years.
Where are you hiring?
All over the world. I mean, we've expanded globally. We've hired a lot of people into the UK.
Despite Brexit?
Despite Brexit, that is not slowing down our hiring in the UK at the moment. It's taking a bit longer to get people in the door, but we haven't seen a big slowdown yet. But
Why is it taking longer?
Just the uncertainty about what is going to happen in a year's time when Brexit does actually become a reality. Still, for businesses, we don't know what that's going to mean. But the opportunity to come to ARM and do really exciting work and develop the next generation of technology, that's what attracts people to the company.
I was speaking to the chief executive of the Vision Fund, the $100 billion fund that's being raised, owned by SoftBank. They've taken a 25% stake in ARM. Rajiv Misra was talking about how portfolio companies within Vision Fund will work together. How are you seeing that as a reality for ARM as yet?
Yeah, it's great being part of the SoftBank group because there are all these really interesting companies who are trying to innovate in lots of different ways. I mean, what Rajiv's looking for in target investments for the fund are people who are disrupting, people who are using data and modern technology to disrupt. And that all relies on intelligent silicon devices, which of course is what we do. So this has led to some really interesting discussions with some of the portfolio companies.
Which ones?
Well, we're working very closely with Sprint and with SoftBank Mobile in Japan, and with some of the other Vision Fund investment companies. We get to have discussions about technology, about the roadmap that they need to develop the next generation thing, whether it's a robot or some IoT thing in a house. It's just opening the doors to really interesting conversations with companies who are pushing the leading edge.
Has it ever closed any doors being owned by a big carrier? How does that affect your conversation with rival carriers that aren't SoftBank?
Well, we're not owned by a carrier as such. We're owned by a company that owns some carriers. I mean, the carriers tend to be quite regional businesses. And, when the acquisition was announced, there were people who kind of stepped back and said, hang on a minute, how's this going to affect ARM's neutrality? But, we assured people, and we've demonstrated in the last 18 months, that it hasn't affected our neutrality. We are still a trustworthy company. We work with lots of people who compete with each other. And that's just kind of how we've done business for the last 27 years.
And is it nicer being private? You don't have the quarterly reviews. Is there? Obviously, you don't have to get in front of us every single quarter.
Yeah, I don't have to see you every 90 days. But
I know you weep daily about that. But what do you see? Has it been able to affect your long-term vision? Have you been able to make decisions you wouldn't have been able to previously?
Yeah, it's definitely allowing us faster decision making. It's allowing us to invest more. So as I said, adding 25% more people into the company in a year is something that as a public company you'd have to spend a lot of time explaining before you did it, and everybody would be looking at your margins, through the microscope. We don't have to worry about that anymore. We have high-level discussions about strategy with the ARM board, and then we're left to get off and execute it. So it has panned out, pretty much as we predicted 18 months ago.